Great Monday to every single one of you trailblazers that are watching. If it's your first time catching one of my live broadcasts, I'm so glad that you're here. My name is Tabitha Christopher of TabithaChristopher.com. My company founded the Mind Style Makeover Bootcamp. It is a character and resilience building training program for students in college and high school that provides them with a roadmap to succeed academically, athletically, socially, and emotionally. So if it was your first time catching this, or if we have gotten the chance to meet in person or right here on the lives, go ahead and drop it into the comments where you're watching this live from right now, or if you're catching this in the replay, let me know replay in the comments below. All right, so right now is a good time for you to share this video. Why? Because we're going to be talking about something that is going to impact every single person that's going to come on here to see this video, 100% guaranteed, and it's going to be a good affecting, good impact. All right, so what is this video about tonight? This video is about truth versus feelings. Truth versus feelings. How to use past painful situations to propel you forward to future gains. Tonight's video is about truth versus feelings, how to use past painful situations to propel you forward to future gains. Why should you watch? You should watch if you're feeling stuck, overwhelmed by life, worried about what the future holds. And it's to the point where it has you even having the feelings of paralysis, of not knowing what choice to make, what decision to move forward with in whatever scenario that you're facing at the moment. Let's dive right into it. You know, oftentimes I've heard, and I'm sure you've heard this as well. You may have even said it yourself. I know I have said certain parts of this myself along the journey that you probably could relate to. Whether it's my present situation would be so much better off, hey Bob, if I had a different upbringing. I don't know if you've heard this before, but I've heard it multiple times. And I've said that particular one to myself. But, oh, my life would be so much better if I had a different upbringing. Or maybe you've heard, you know what, my life would be so much better if I was born with a different skin color, or if I was born a different gender. We have a lot of conversations around gender ideology these days more than ever before. But these are phrases, topics that come up quite often, right? My life would be so much better off if this thing was different, whatever this thing is. Or my life would be so much better off if life just wasn't so hard. You know, there was this guy, and it's a true story. His life was recorded. It's gone down in history. He was known for doing everything right, not just good things. He did a lot of good things. He always did good things, but he was always doing the right things. There was a group of people that didn't like that. They didn't like that he was always doing the right things, and made them look bad, because the things of which they could have done that was right or good, they never chose to do, or they didn't do at the times that they could have done. And then here comes this goody two shoes, as they would want to call someone that is always choosing to do the right thing or do good things. Here he comes along and he's doing all of the good things, everything right. And they didn't like that. So it wasn't long before these certain groups of people decided to run a smear campaign to taint this gentleman's reputation, to try to bring down, to taint his character, and to turn the people, the community, against him. Well, as time went on, he continued to choose to do the right thing and to do good things. And the more he continued to do the right and to do the good, the worse The worse they talked about him, the gossip ran rampant. These scandalous headlines were flying all over the place throughout the community about this gentleman. Everything opposite of who he actually was and what he was doing. Well, as the story goes on, he ends up being accused of all kinds of things that were not true. All of it was false. And this particular group of people were able to get him ruthlessly murdered. But the story doesn't end there. This man wasn't just man. He resurrected. He resurrected and he lives. If you're familiar with the story of Christ, Jesus Christ, then you know that's who I'm talking about. Now, I'm sure you have had people talk about you behind your back. I'm sure you've had people gossip about you. I'm sure you've gone through and experienced some unfair things in life. You may have been brought up in a household where there was, maybe there was abuse there. Hey, Jake, maybe there's some things that happened recently on the job that was just not cool, right? Things that, maybe you were blamed for something that you didn't do. But one thing I do know for you and I is that we all have done wrong in our life. Can I get a witness? I know I have. Okay? Every single one of us have done wrong in our life. And every single one of us at some point or another, if not already, have suffered the consequence of doing those wrong things, making those choices that were not good decisions, right? In fact, a lot of the things of what we're experiencing in life is because of poor decisions that we have made in our life, right? We will reap what we sow. A lot of people don't like to talk about that. Oftentimes, it's easier to try to skirt away from that conversation and not take accountability and not be responsible for the decisions that we make in our life, and the consequences that we're going through is because of those decisions and choices that we've made in our life. And so oftentimes that doesn't get talked about a lot. But I'll talk about it. Because there's been some poor decisions that I've made, and the consequences that came from that, I had to live through, right? And what makes it more difficult is when we avoid taking accountability of when we make those poor decisions. All right. So, what would happen if we were to live a life fully dependent upon truth versus feelings and circumstances? What would happen if we were to live a life fully dependent upon truth versus our feelings and circumstances? Because here's the thing, trailblazers, our feelings and circumstances are in a constant change, constantly changing. All right. They're not consistent. One moment the feelings are up, the next moment they're down. Next moment everything seems to be even keel. And then something happens and it changes the mood immediately, instantly. You can't depend on the feelings because it's going to lead us to go mad. We will go mad trying to follow and stick with whatever it is our feelings are leading us to do in any given moment. It can't be trusted in that sense, And oftentimes I just have to bring this up because that just came to my mind. I've been seeing this commercial on YouTube that will come up and say, your feelings matter. Your feelings are valid. Now, let me tell you something. Oftentimes, we have come to the point of where we are elevating our feelings so much so as if our feelings ought to be God in our living experiences, and it leads us to make poor decisions that will result in consequences that are painful, to say the least. And then we find ourselves complaining about the circumstances that we're in. And then I've heard it done many times, blaming God for why are you letting these things happen to me when he's not letting anything happen to you or I. oftentimes, majority of the time, is the choices and decisions that we're making. And oftentimes we're making those choices and decisions based on the feelings that we're having in that given moment. What would happen if we were to live a life fully dependent on truth versus feelings and circumstances? And this isn't truth based off of, well, this is the truth of this is what's happening right now. I'm feeling this way because this is what's happening. No, again, that's still depending upon the circumstances, letting the circumstances, the situation at hand, to dictate your emotions, which, and then using that as an excuse or the reason to decide to react versus taking pause to reflect and do a critical analysis of, let me finish the story here. If I react in this way, how will the story end? How will it affect and impact those in my circle of influence? Taking it beyond the moment of now, of when the feelings and emotions are high, right? And we're blinded and can't really see we can't see past the moment of the rage or the fear or the whatever, right? What would happen if we would choose to live a life fully dependent on truth versus feelings and circumstances? Well, what would end up happening is stress, anxiety, panic attacks, frustration, clouded thinking, that will decrease, diminish, and go. And then what will increase is healthy perspective, healthy relationships. Again, I'm going to say this, healthy relationships not based on how others treat you and I, but healthy relationships based on how you and I are able to see clearly through the eyes of Christ the other person's worth and value. Healthy relationships, right? What would happen if we choose to live a life fully dependent on truth versus our feelings and circumstances? What would increase? Healthy living. We'll be able to own our story and not fake it. How do we do this? How do we live a life fully dependent on the truth versus our feelings and circumstances so that toxic stress, anxiety, panic attacks, frustration, clouded thinking can decrease, diminish, and go, and we can have an increase of healthy perspective, healthy relationships, healthy living, and owning our story? How do we do this? Well, I'm glad you asked. And even if you didn't ask, I'm still going to tell you. Number one, we got to surrender. Surrender to knowing that you and I are not able on our own, in our own strength, to do this. We're not. We're not. We need help. So to surrender and being able to say, you know what? I have tried. I am trying, but I keep finding myself faltering, falling, missing the mark. Step number two is to learn the truth. Learn the truth. And the truth isn't, I'm not talking about, well, yeah, the truth is, I was born with a disadvantage because of my skin color. I was born at a disadvantage because of my gender. I was born at a disadvantage because I didn't have a daddy at home. I was born at a disadvantage. All right, those are all facts. Those are all things that happen, right? Okay. Right? Those are all things that happen. But I'm not that's the truth that I'm talking about is what's going to elevate you above the pains of your past or beliefs that's causing you to be handicapped, that's creating a victim mentality where instead of taking ownership, owning your story, like, okay, these are the cards I've been dealt with, now what can I do with this story, versus saying these are the cards I've been dealt with and looking at it as if it's negative, right? You're alive and have breath in your body. There is hope. There is hope, and there's always an opportunity, multiple of opportunities to change the trajectory of one's life by the choices we make. So number one, surrender. Number two, learn the truth of who you were created to be, the truth of who you were created to be. And to know that truth, it goes back to learning who your source is, who created you. Because your mother and father didn't create you. They participated in helping to bring you here. But as far as all of who you are, your identity, there is only one that can answer that, and that's the one who made you, your source. So number two, learn the truth of who you created to be. And then number three, when you learn that, become the truth, right? Who you were born as a man or woman, who you were born as a man and woman, that's who you are, right? Own it. Own it. Lean into it. Be proud of that. Be proud of who God created you to be, and not go and let me see if I can change this. If I change the external, if I try to change the external, or if my circumstances were to change, life would be so much better. No, life doesn't work like that. It doesn't revolve around you. It doesn't revolve around me in that way. No, life is the way life is. And then we have the choice and opportunity to either let it run over us and own us and have our emotions up and down like a crazy roller coaster, or we can ground ourselves in the truth, learn the truth of who you were created to be, become the truth, right? Because changing circumstances, changing locations, trying to get away from situations, but still carrying that fear, still carrying that pain as if it just happened. The belief is what's driving the life decisions that one makes. So changing any external circumstance, or trying to what? Trying to think how to put that. I'll just stick with this train of thought that I have. Trying to change the external circumstances and so forth isn't that's not how it works. It starts within your quality of thoughts, your mind style, your quality of thoughts. What are you meditating on day and night? That's what's going to influence what it is that you are feeling, and what it is that you're feeling. It's going to have some influence on what it is you're going to speak. And every single word that comes out of your mouth are seeds that you are going to eat, that are going to produce the fruit in your life, which becomes the lifestyle of habits that you then live and are remembered for. So in order to change all of that, stop focusing on the feelings that you have in the moment and the circumstances that may not be advantageous, may be challenging and hard and painful, versus getting distracted with all of that. Start with the quality of the thoughts of what you're meditating on day and night. Number one, surrender. Number two, learn the truth of who you created to be. Number three, become the truth of who you created to be. And then four, you're living transformed. And number five, take what you have learned and who you are becoming and impact others in a positive and powerful way. I hope that helped in some way, shape, or form, and it did. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, like, and share. If you're catching this on LinkedIn, give it a thumbs up. Put your comments below. Let me know your thoughts. And the things of which you are finding that you have been struggling through in trying to learn how to own your story. You need help with navigating through that. I want to encourage you to get on my Trailblazer Tribe. Get into the Trailblazer Tribe. Visit my website, www.tabithachristopher.com. That's www.tabithachristopher.com. I have some incredible events that's coming up in the fall that will be of tremendous help as you continue this journey to learning how to stop faking it and own your story. Some incredible events that you're going to want to be a part of, whether it's to show up in person whether if we have the opportunity to do a virtual linking in, you want to be able to know about it firsthand. So go ahead and visit my website, www.tabithachristopher.com. And when the pop-up comes up, get into the Trailblazer Tribe. Make sure you check I want to receive the Thrive newsletter, because that's what's coming out each month. Will give you a heads up of the events that are coming this fall that I guarantee you're going to be glad that you're able to be a part of. It's going to be transformative. So on that note, thank you so much for tuning in for our Mind Style Makeover Mondays chat that happens live every single Monday on my social media platforms. And I look forward to seeing you in a future Mind Style Makeover Monday chat. Enjoy the rest of tonight. Bye.